Morning sports fans. I think it's day 10 today. Day 9 or day 10. I don't know. Tell you what, you appreciate the hotel room after spending some time in the campsites in the middle of nowhere. So we're going to get all this stuff packed up, hit the road, McDonald Ranges, and hopefully end up in Finke Gorge tonight for a bit of camping. We'll see how we go. Alright, let's get the stuff packed up and get on the road. How much stuff do you have to take on a 3-week, 8,000k trip around Australia? Lots. A lot of it's just insurance stuff, but yeah. Believe it or not, all that fits in quite nicely. And I've done the desert with it, so it weren't that heavy. Was it, Pato? Huh?
Not until you fall off.
Yeah, when you fall off it becomes really heavy.
It's pretty crazy how much stuff you need to carry on one of these trips, but I've tried my best and this really is pretty close to the minimum I can take on a 3-week remote adventure. By the time you've got the camping gear, clothes, camera gear, then all of the bike parts and tools, it all adds up. I think I have about 25 kilos on you, and that's without any extra fuel or water. I'm sure there's people out there rolling their eyes at my setup right now, and I've seen vlogs of lads riding with a toothbrush and one pair of jocks, but come on, you gotta have clean jocks, surely.
And that is how we do that.
The day didn't start too well for the one and only Pato. His carby was leaking like a sieve with the float seat stuck open, but we knew once the DRZ was started and the vibrations kicked in, it would sort itself out.
Bit of motion for the day. Breakfast time now. Let's go.
You gonna fill me up with petrol? Huh? What's your name? Diesel?
The servo tea machine was busted, so Pato's kindly offered the boiler kettle for me for my morning Tetley's tea. It's amazing the versatility of these DRZs, to be honest. Hopefully, though, it's just the oil on the header pipe from the service that's burning off. We'll wait and see. So here's the plan for today. Head south out of Alice to Rainbow Valley, then through Owen Springs, up to the West McDonald Ranges, across to Goose Bluff Crater, then back east to the Finke Gorge, which I think is going to be a real highlight. We'll aim to camp somewhere in the gorge depending how far we get. That's the plan anyway, we'll see how the day pans out. A quick stop after the first 20k's of every day is a good idea for a check over, especially after some work we did yesterday. If there's any issues, most of them will happen first thing, but the bikes look good, time to crack on. Rainbow Valley is not really in the right direction for our trip. You have to head south for about 75k's and then another 20k's off the main road, but when we got there it was worth the extra k's. A strange set of sandstone bluffs that rise out of seemingly nowhere. Probably the most scenic thing we have seen in thousands of k's. And if you're there on sunrise or sunset, the colours will be pretty strong for the photos, I'd say.
Pretty cool. Apparently the water on the surface evaporated years ago. And the evaporation caused the minerals to be drawn out from underneath the ground, making that thing. Took a couple of million years, like, but that's a lot of stuff to be drawn from under the ground.
The day was going great so far, but for Pato, the greatness was about to end.
Well, our first drama of the day, 100k's in, tools are out already. Got a bit of
an oil leak situation.
I think it's one of the hoses come off the air oil separator. So we've got to take the tank back off, or luggage off, seat off, see what's happened. Put it back on and put some oil in it, because I reckon we've lost it a little bit there. May all the dramas be minor. Yep. Well, I'll do it. She was pretty dark last night when we finished this oil change. That's where we put it down to.
Not the beers.
I was gonna say the slab was getting pretty empty by the end of the day too. Oh well, doesn't even need any more oil. We just checked it. These things run off fresh air. Back together, onwards.
After that little issue, we head through to Owen Springs, up to the West MacDonald Ranges. An awesome little ride through an old cattle station, through gorges along riverbed sections with some of them sandy and rocky, great scenery and great tracks. It's a shortcut between the two highways and it links us back onto the main bitumen road that goes across the range. Well worth it. Lots of nice scenery along the ranges. Unfortunately it's all bitumen, but you can't have it all. But we do have time for a gourmet lunch with a great view.
Not a bad place to stop for lunch. What do we got? We got trucking good jerky for the main course, and then a couple of snakes for dessert. Getting spoiled. Look at it. Fantastic, Jeremy.
As we set off and picked up some more juice, as you never pass a servo out here without filling the tank up, we crossed what is very close to the source of the famous Finke River, just at Mount Zeal. At 600 k's long and thought to be the oldest river in the world at 400 million years, which means Pato was just a baby when it was formed. And it's actually pretty interesting how they work this out, but anyway, I digress. We keep on heading east to visit the Goose Bluff crater. We get to ride into the middle of the 5-kilometer crater and climb up the walls for photos. Well worth going to see, as you can see the shape of the impact zone. Unlike some other craters I've seen which are so big you can't really see what's going on, and it's time for a walk around.
Well, that was a ride into the middle of Goose Bluff crater. Looks good from the air. I looked on Google Earth when I was planning it. Looks pretty good. That must have been one big stone that fell, that's for sure. Yeah, very cool. There's nothing like a hike up a mountain in full riding gear. An SG12s, huh?
Keeps you fit.
Been sitting down for about 6 hours today. Be good riding up here, wasn't it? Switchies. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. There's the blocks down there.
Yeah. Top of a mountain on the outskirts of a meteor crater. That is pretty mad. I like it.
Heading out of the crater, we top off the tanks once more in the town of Hermannsburg just in case, and we got out of there real quick. Not the friendliest looking community to be fair, with cars pulling up full of dogs and bullet holes, but never mind, it's time to head on into Finke Gorge. Now I couldn't find many videos of the gorge when I was doing my research, but I did watch Cross Training Barry's terrible video on it, and he said it was best suited to light bikes because of the bull dust. So I took his advice and loaded up the DRZ as heavy as I could, because I love a challenge, especially when Barry's involved. It's only 25 k's into where we intend to camp for the night, but I think it's probably the toughest 25 k's of the whole Finke Gorge. Bull dust, loose rock was the go, and it was awesome. Balancing on the pegs was a challenge when moving super slow through the dust, as paddling would wear you out super quick. And the views were fantastic with the high red rock walls. The sun was setting on them just nice and made for a nice section to end the day. A highlight of the trip so far for sure. Pato's getting tired by this point, and I can tell you it's lucky that my comms aren't recording, because the abuse and the swearing I received in my helmet was, well, truly amazing. Some of them words I'm sure weren't even English. How much further, Burns? About 5k's, Pato. You f***ing said 5k's 5k's ago, Burns. Yeah, sorry buddy, my map reading is pretty bad these days. And he went on and on. Anyway, we got there in the end, just on dark unfortunately, as it was a magic site, the famous Boggy Hole campground. a permanent waterhole in the middle of a river that flows once a year if you're lucky. It would have been good to enjoy it a bit longer, but that's adventure riding for you. You never know what's going to happen, and it's all part of it.
Well, we have arrived at our intended destination, the Boggy Hole. That was a tough last hour and a half, that was. Didn't think it was going to be as sandy. Now that was probably in sections that was harder than the Simpson, I reckon, because it was not sand, it was like bull dust. Whew. Yeah, that was tough, but we're here now. Time to set up and yeah, have a fire. I think it's going to be cold tonight. Whew, nice view though.
I'll leave you now with a time lapse of the setup, and we get to see what's on the menu for tonight. I'll catch you on the next episode where we head down to Ayers Rock via the rest of the Finke Gorge and Kings Canyon. See ya!
Pretty good. Can't complain of that one. And a bit of mashed potato as well there. Don't know where to put it on top as well though. Probably should. That's a normal cottage pie, isn't it? Let's have a look. Now it looks like a proper cottage pie. Not bad for the middle of nowhere. It'll do. What have you got, Pato?
It's Sunday, so Sunday roast for me.
Roast chicken.
Roast chicken.
So look at it.
More like stew.
Too much water.
Too much water. I'm not a very good cook. I'll probably see these corn in the morning, I reckon.
What is it with corn?